I can almost do these with one hand. Here we go. There we go. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's weather tonight. Here, as always, for 2 whole days in a row, 3 whole days in a row, I'm your resident meteorologist. It's a comedian, meteorologist. Never mind the cardboard box covering up all of my crap. This is just so that you don't see my crap. Here, hold on. Let's just give you a little human glimpse into me and cover up my empty bag of Takis and push aside my very important, this is actually a filing cabinet. This is not trash. This is very important audio equipment mixed in with the bags of actual trash, just so that the robbers can't find it. I'll give y'all something more visually appealing that doesn't look like mail. There we go. Now that looks almost like it's just a pillow. Okay. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Let's make sure that I can see chat. I don't know if I can. See if anybody's here. So I don't know. Okay. Hello. I have a tie tonight because I'm official. I'm wearing a tie with my little mullet because I'm very official. Listen, I even got little notes for you. Made little notes in my little bullet journal just for you. There's so many other notes in this bullet journal, so many other things I have up my sleeve. Let's just go ahead and start for no one, because you got to start before they show up. So here we go. I'm going to share my slides. All right. Today's weather tonight. All right. Today's weather tonight. Starting off with weather. Boy, have we got it. Currently going on in the, the coastal elites hogging the weather to themselves. There's weather happening all over the country, mostly in the West Coast and the East Coast. Defined to the coast, mainly it's the winter time. And what happens in the winter time, but little troughs bulge down from up in the northern polar regions, the higher latitudes, the closer to the pole area. That area moves down, and sometimes those little areas, we call them lows because they're colder, denser air that have lower pressure. The lows, that's not necessarily, but it's hard to talk certainly about weather in any sense because there's almost nothing you can say that always is true. Like, it's very hard to communicate about weather because almost no sentence you say is always going to hold up. But one thing that is going to hold up is that the winter's cold. Haha. Cut to us in 15 years. Ha. Winter's not cold. What's the winter? But like I was saying, the cold air comes down from Canada and scoops up with it the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. creating these two great things, these two great nor'easters. Really, there's also a clipper wedged in here. And what I've got on the screen right now is not showing either of those things. It's showing the result of those things. So what's happening is those two ingredients, the ingredients of like having air come from above that's cold and from below that's wet together to make a snow cone or a nice mid-latitude cyclone that could be a good nor'easter that if it has the right path and wind is I forgot how I started my sentence. Jeez Louise. Anyway, when you have those ingredients, you get good storms, big storms. No storm is good unless it's a storm that everybody survived and absolutely nothing bad happened. But a textbook storm. We've got textbook storms coming. There's going to be blizzards. There's going to be back-to-back blizzards. Out with it. Just say the weather. Man, it's harder than you think, guys. It's harder than you think to just say the weather. It's going to snow this weekend, all up and down the East Coast. And by coast, I mean like the eastern seaboard. So like New England into Appalachia, but not so much the deep south. The deep south is going to have the tail end, which is probably going to have mad tornadoes. Like we're going to have, I'm so excited because we might actually get to do some forecast verification on this channel soon. Some of my favorite broadcasters out there are going to be having their eyes on these storms this weekend. So let's keep an eye on, follow Ryan Hall, y'all. If you like live broadcasts of storms as they're happening. And I really am partial to Weatherman Plus. I think he's bringing a great spiritual aspect to weather forecasting that we're missing if you're looking for just forecasting. But like I said, I'm not super a forecaster. I'm just forecasting what we're going to be able to verify with our forecast verification. So far, we haven't really had any forecasts that we're keeping our eyes on. So it's hard to start a forecast verification podcast right away because I haven't had any build-up momentum hype going into anyone else's forecast yet. So now that we have a little bit, I'm forecasting that there will be forecasts for blizzards this weekend and into next week. And we will see if my forecast for those forecasts are correct. There are already people calling for blizzards. So we'll see if those people calling for blizzards were correct. We're also going to see if I was correct in calling for people calling for blizzards. Okay. I think that about sums it up. Next, earthquakes. You know them, you love them, you gotta hate them. But we're in Capricorn season, and Capricorn season is earthquake season. Just is a cardinal earth sign. Hello, the earth doing whatever it wants. How is that not earthquake season to everyone else? Okay. I'm just going to readjust here because I feel like I'm not. Okay. What am I saying? So there was an earthquake up in Iceland like that they could feel in the capital in Trollhättinga. It's so fun to say Icelandic words, absolutely butchering it, but Trollhättinga. Dingja. They had it's like kind of northeast of Grindavik, which is where the magma intrusion dike is, like the dike that's been full of magma from the dike underneath. It's where all of that magma activity is happening. under the surface of the Svartsengi power plant and Grindavik, the little fishing village right next to it, which is also, you know, they put the protection barrier around the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon big tourist area before they put a protection wall around the city. And only now are they putting a wall around the. They were always like, oh, we have to protect the valuable infrastructure first. And by valuable infrastructure, they did not mean people's homes or the actual town. They meant the power plant and the tourist attraction. So I'm glad that the residents there did raise enough clamor to get them working on a lava blocking wall of earth, like an earthen mound, finally around the town. I mean, it's still not too late. Like, but what I think is happening is we are going to like kind of, I wish I pulled up those maps, but I didn't get it in my, the map that I've got on here is where earthquakes happen in, and showing like the LA, DC, New York earthquakes that just happened in the last few. What the dots I have on for the interactive 3D viewer are just in the last 3 days. So you can kind of see the way that earthquakes flow around the North American craton, like around the big tectonic plate, microplate within a plate, big hunk. Anyway, what I was saying was the earthquakes in the active eruption zone in Iceland have kind of tapered off again, which I think I'm going to need to bust out my crayons here. Okay, well, I'm not going to use the crayons, but I'm going to use let's use like a orangey red for magma. Okay, so what's happened in both elevation changes and in okay, so listen to this. It's a very good sound. Okay. So this is what it looks like if you're looking at the graph of like if you're this coordinate is time and this coordinate is how high up the ground is getting. And we started here. And this is the first eruption. This is it building and building. And then it erupted. And we knew what happened to it. And then it's building and building and building again. And then it erupted. This isn't the eruption. This is the formation of the magma dike. I'm sorry. And then this is the actual eruption. And then this is where we are right now. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's gonna erupt again and probably pretty soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it erupted tonight, like if it was happening right now as I'm on the stream, like. But in fact, let's just see. Let's just see. I'm gonna toggle over to the Iceland Met office and see. They have both earthquake and aurora forecasts and weather forecasts, which I really like that about the Iceland Meteorological Office because they understand that all the waves are waves. They understand that every waveform is important. Okay. So looks like we did have a little bit of earthquake activity today. Look at the Rearcast Peninsula. Yeah, I think it looks like we're looking mostly at the one at Trollhättan. And that's mostly it. Let's see if I can get volcanoes. No. Gotta look at this. I want to find a current version of this hazard map. But I don't know. Okay, so basically the story out of the Reykjanes Peninsula is that inflation is slowing down. But I don't think that inflation slowing down means that we're out of the woods. I think that means that it's about to erupt. Because what I have written down is latent heat of eruption. What I mean by that is that when... Okay, I'm going to do some drawing again. Let's ignore this. Let's get another color so you can ignore it better. Okay. When you have a stepwise function, right? A function that goes from like here to here. It's not doing that vertical jump immediately or like overnight or from nothing. There's a process happening in that jump that's taking the effort that would be going on the forward motion. Like, let's say this is motion, for example. It would be going forward. And then during this, it's not like all the momentum that it had for the going forwardness stopped. It's that the going forwardness energy is taking it up vertically. And you don't see the result of the vertically until you get there, and then it can have going forwardness again. Basically, that's how I think of latent heat working in a reaction, is you've got to stay plateaued at this level for a little bit while all the reaction juice is plugging you into the next level in order to shift. Anyway, why I brought that up is I think that that's what's happening as the curve of inflation goes and plateaus off. I think that there's like energy being put into the thresholds of what's keeping rock in place, aka what's keeping the lid on the eruption. Currently, the magma is like reaching its ability, like the end of its ability to swell it up. And we're working into the rock that it is. Like all the energy that the magma is using right now is going like magma's in here and this is rock. All of the energy is going into the rock, and then it'll burst out once it's worked on the rock enough. But I don't know how to explain it better yet, but we're getting there. How do you learn to do something? You just do it. And so I'm just doing it. Speaking of which, I'm not going to put you through a long ass interlude by somebody who doesn't exactly know what they're talking about. So let's move on to our next topic. Solar activity. Another thing I don't know a whole heck of a lot about, but I'm going to talk about. There's a really cool sunspot pair on the sun right now. We're in the height of like, I think we're like reaching solar maximum, and that's what the experts say. The experts that I listen to say, and so I there's a lot of sunspots, so it's nice that I get to pick a favorite one. But my favorite one that's happening right now is AR 3536. That's what I've got on the screen right now in different wavelengths of looking at the sun. Because the sun is also, solar weather is another place where people get it right in that they look at the sun in many, many different wavelengths. I think terrestrial weather forecasters could learn a thing or two from observing the sun, because you can see the weather in so much better resolution when you observe it in different wavelengths. Anyway, this pair right here is what launched that big X-class flare on New Year's. It also since then has launched M 1.1 and 3.8 class flares, and I believe there's a very good chance it's going to have another mass ejection soon. Some sort of solar flare activity will continue to go. Like, this just got on the sun facing side. Like, it came in like doing the razzle dazzle, like da 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 da, look at me, like really showing off. As soon as it walked into the stage, this pair of sunspots just walked onto the sun, started belting in their show tunes voice and said, "Look what I can do." And it's just got on stage. Like a spot will take about like roughly 2 weeks to pass through the sun facing and sun not facing disc. It's the same, like, it's not related to our moon cycle, but it's kind of similar time frame of a moon cycle is a sun cycle of like the sun itself spinning around. And that's like how or like of how the the spots spin around. Anyway, it's a beta gamma magnetic pole classification. So on the right there, that yellow and green, like the warm color and cool color coding, that is a magnetic pole moment color coding. So I forget which is hot and which is cold, positive or negative, and which one is in or out. But like, one is magnetic flux into the sun and one is magnetic flux out of the sun, kind of, basically. But it's really about the magnetic pole, but you can think of it as an analog for into and out of. So if you were trying to think of what a shape looked like, where that is its map of in and out, like, what roller coaster do you go on where it comes out at all of the one color spots and goes in at the other color spots? What arc, what kind of crazy knot is this tied in, that is its footprint of a horizontal slice through the knot? Like, I think it's really cool to see such complexities, because like, I think you really need something powerful like the sun to be able to sustain such crazy awesome reactions. Anyway, the solar weather comes to us through the solar wind. There's a solar proton event also that's been going on that has acted as like an envelope filter for the frequencies hitting the earth. The resonant frequencies are in training. What I mean by that is when there's a solar proton event, there's energy in the atmosphere for particles to ionize. Like protons can ionize just like the photons do in the daytime. And there's more ability for like the buffer to not go down overnight. I'm not explaining it good, but basically, we're probably going to have cool aurora soon too. So be on the lookout for cool aurora pictures. I have seen a forecast for aurora to happen, so I will be verifying if that happened. I will be verifying the forecast, and we'll see which aurora photographer forecasters got it right. I'm not going to talk about the Schumann resonances, but you know, it's happening. Schumann resonances are like the brain frequency of our collective brain. Weather is the weird neurons walking around on the surface of the earth, and we are its brain. And weather is the intercranial fluid through which our neurons communicate to each other, because we're weather machines. I don't know if you guys knew this, but our bodies actually are weather machines. That's like all we do is affect the weather. Our talking, singing, thinking, acting, all of that is through weather. So let's rein it back in. I'm already telling you guys you are weather machines and you're made of weather and we're all weather. Let's bring it back to something real. Astrology. Transits for today are on the screen. Mars ingresses into Capricorn tomorrow, January 4th. Well, really tonight, right now. There's, and that ingress is kind of squaring Neptune, mostly sextiling Saturn, which we got Saturn in Pisces sextiling and exalted Mars going in Capricorn. Okay. And there's a T-square if you count that. If you count with a node as being in the T-square, then there's a T-square between the sun, the moon, and the north and south node. I count it because a moon square sun really means 1/4 moon or 3/4 moon. And I think that those are just as important days as full moon and new moon, but they're harder to remember, so people don't remember what you're supposed to do. 3/4 moon is the end of cycles, gracefully finishing strong. We're finishing up the 2023 loose ends and moving on to 2024. And I think it's a really good time to, like, you know, maybe not go full steam ahead, but like do your motions, do your, like, we just had a big sweep of planets through Sagittarius. Like, we should have gotten some divine inspiration from that. Like, +1 to your inspiration category of stats, because now it's Capricorn season. We're well into Capricorn season. It's time to get to work. And all those planets that were just getting such great inspiration in Sagittarius are about to shoo Pluto out of Capricorn and be like, no, really, man, you gotta leave. So looking forward to that. looking forward to having other people on my stream, but I know that it won't come overnight. Let's go move on. The waves, the ocean, still a mystery to me. Most waves are doing average to swell. Those are actual conditions that the waves can be in, guys. I took oceanography a little bit in college. All right, now it's the vibrating. I took oceanography. I've one semester of it, and my notes look so scientific. I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist. Do my ogling thumbnail face. Crazy non-binary shouts weather at people. You'll never guess. You'll never believe. Okay, here we go. Short one jumped out at me today. First, I seek joy, and all else follows. Since your feeling of joy is your indication of your connection with your source, once you have achieved joy, you have achieved connection with your source. And under these circumstances, all that is good follows. With that, have a great evening.